motivation, easy. Easy. Monday, 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 motivation.
All right. Welcome to Easy Monday Motivations. It's your homeboy E. Hello. How you doing? Let me check in with my people. Was good, CT?
You like that background? What you know about that background?
I absolutely love your background of my fish tank. It's adorable.
It's your fish tank? Is that what that is?
I think that's what it is.
We don't actually have to ask about it today because it's in front of us. Is that a recent picture, E?
This is the most recent picture. I took them today. So, okay. Johnny, how are you doing, my leash? Because, you don't have a fish tank behind you.
I don't have a fish tank. I wish I would have, I wish I would have thought of that.
No.
I wish I would have thought of that. It's perfect. I'm doing fantastic, brothers.
It's good to hear. So, guys, you're with us every single week, and we absolutely love the love that we get. And this week is very special because we're actually gonna kind of give back a little bit. But we got to do our real round robin. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut to CT first. Like, CT, how was your week? Are you excited? Because you already know every day
it's Friday. Yeah.
So I want to hear how your week was and leading into this Monday.
Listen, I want to make sure that as I'm consistent in making sure that I talk about your fish tank, I want to also make sure that I'm consistent in talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes and that beautiful butt kicking they put on Penn State this last weekend. I'm proud of our Buckeyes. We are gearing up towards, not that we would skip over a game, but we're gearing up for that game at the end of the year. We're going to put it on that team up north. Yeah, there may or may not be other fans in this room. We should kick them out. Well, wait a minute. The producer might have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, the weekend was chill, man. We did a lot of it wasn't, if you do fall cleaning, you ever do fall cleaning?
Yeah.
I went down into the attic, like the depths of the house, and pulled out some stuff. And man, I found some stuff from like 2002, like some videos.
Wow.
Some, stuff that I wrote. Like, it's like, woo, bit nostalgic. This weekend, a little bit nostalgic. But man, listen, it was like, I'm here today. So clearly it was a weekend that wasn't debaucherous like your last weekend, but it was, a weekend that, was just fine, as they say. So I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So, hey, Leslie, we're saying, hey, back there, hey there. And we got to go blue. There. So, all right. And then, hello, Mama. How you doing? And then Johnny, my leash, we're going to come to you. How was your week? How was your weekend leading into this Monday?
Oh, let me tell you, I had such a full week last week. It was just a lot of gratitude walking away from last week. A lot of gratitude. It was a great week full of just, I was able to touch base with some people I haven't talked to in a while. It was just a really great week. And then I finished it all off by visiting my parents on Sunday. In Mansfield. Shout out to Mansfield. Shout out to my parents. But it's always lovely because they keep me grounded. It's like a reset. Every time I go see them, it's like a reset to just remind me of who I am. I got this and everything is all good. So it was a lovely visit. Only stayed for a couple of hours and headed on back to Columbus, but it was lovely. I had a great weekend. And I'm ready for this week. Ready for this week.
All right. So lovely. Hey, checking in, family. Hey there. All right. So my weekend, guys, was pretty consistent. I didn't have anything hinder me or get in the ways of anything that I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do this weekend is, Cam, can you do me a favor and roll this video of my wonderful algae in there. That's right. Okay, there we go. That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
I love it.
Somebody
My,
has evolved. Somebody has evolved.
my my fish tank got a lot of love this weekend. My little sister needed some extra stuff, so I was able to kind of clean out and get rid of some stuff. But then that really inspired me to go in and do some detail cleaning for my fish babies. And you know, they had a wonderful weekend. You know, they did. I did. I had fun playing with them. So
That's
Yeah,
yes,
they look like it.
yeah, definitely. So I mean, that's one of my sources of motivation. My
Yeah.
fish tank really does give me like a lot of power to really relax and focus on things. But Johnny, I'm gonna come to you. I think you had something that you said you wanted to talk about. Let me go ahead and kick it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cam, can you play the clip from last week
Hmm.
for us,
Boundaries.
please, and remove some of that clutter so you can have a clearer perspective and to the point where people don't even want to bring the mess to you, right?
Mm.
Like that's what we're moving towards.
Or just like, but if they do, they're bringing it because they know you have an answer or a solution they couldn't get from somebody else.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so this clip here, and then what we didn't quite capture as well is like after me and CT went, Eric, you left us with assess your mess, right? Because last week was all about messy motivation. And so the things that we were discussing kind of just sent me on a little reflection over this week. I talked about gratitude and how things were. So it made me really sit back and reflect on my perspective of mess, because oftentimes we think of mess as just people just starting trash, right? Just being trashy, right? But sometimes it's about changing your perspective a little bit, because we all have a little mess that we're bringing into certain situations. And it made me think, or, you know, some people call it baggage, trauma, whatever it may be. So it really made me think about how I'm showing up in my relationships, right?
Yeah.
So what am I bringing?
Yeah.
How am I showing up to the people that I say I love and I support and all of this? And so, for instance, I try to pride myself on not being a judgmental person, right? But then I find myself sometimes being a little judgmental when someone's not doing what I think they should be doing, or if I feel like someone's whining too much or complaining too much according to my standards. And it's like, who am I, right? But it's kind of sent me on a reflection. And so I just wanted to share with everyone just a little bit, just take some time and think about that, like how we're showing up in our relationships. What type of mess are we bringing to our
Yeah.
relationships? And then also, like CT mentioned, that if they're bringing it to you, maybe they're bringing it to you because you have a solution. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a reason. Maybe you're that go-to person. So if you are, think about that as well. Like, how are you showing up for other people? So I just wanted to share that with everyone because it kind of sent me down a path of self-reflection myself. And so I wanted to share that with everyone else as well.
Hey,
And-
E,
Go ahead.
we can't let her just toss that out there and not make sure that if you missed last week's pod, there was a section where I believe Johnny My Liege said, sometimes I get messy, but
Right.
I do it when I'm with my sister. I do believe that she implicated her sister in last week's show. And Johnny, I just want to make sure
Johnny did say that
a minute ago, like sometimes is it only when you're with your sister, or is it have I stretched it too much?
Good question.
Gosh, now I'm like, maybe it's not only with my sister.
Okay. So you
Right, but also too, but for real, like thinking about it, maybe it's not just mess, maybe it's just all your stuff, right? Whatever it may be and how it can show up. So just do some self-reflection and think about, like, what is that stuff you're bringing to your relationships and the people you're surrounded by, you know, work, family, community, the whole nine.
that is very important that you say that, and it's critical because it ties into what today's episode is about. It's about sourcing motivation, and as you utilize your own podcast to source motivation for you to grow from, we also have opportunity for other people to utilize us as a source of motivation and to grow in themselves. So today we're going to take some time. We're going to talk about how you can personally source motivation, as well as, you know, different ways that we do. And and we want to be a resource as well. So we're going to start off by, we have some questions that we got from, you know,
Hey.
hey,
Hey,
all right, hey,
Uh,
family is showing up. We
Mama.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
You know, we want to start off with some questions that we got from some fans, and we definitely want to like kind of take a little bit of time to talk about these questions. Cam, can you pull up the first question that we got? All right. How can I become stronger? So I got somebody inboxed me and just said, man, look, you know, I really see what you guys have been like doing, and I love it. Like, I see that every time you do something, you get better, right? And that's something that people see in you as you continue to sharpen yourself, right? Like, so the
Yeah.
question came in the form of like, I don't feel like I'm strong at this, and I don't feel like I'm strong at that. And I was like, well, are you asking yourself, what are you strong at? Or are you asking yourself, how can you get stronger?
Ooh.
And then that's where we led to the question of, well, how can I become stronger at things? So I'm gonna come to you first, Johnny, and give it to you, and then CT, I'm gonna come to you. So Johnny, when you hear the question, how can I become stronger at things? Like, and you can use examples of things that you have had to work at, or things that you watch other people work at. Like, what comes to mind as an answer or reply to somebody coming to you asking that question?
First thing that comes to my mind is consistency.
Mhm.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind is consistency, right? Like you got to continue to do it. So I used to run.
Mhm.
Now in high school, whatever, I was never an athlete. Never an athlete. And then when I turned 30, I started running to take care of myself and all the things. And I was so slow. Do you hear me? I mean, the first time I saw myself on video, like because I don't know if y'all ever were runners, but you feel like you're floating, right? You reached a certain level of like a high almost, and you feel like you're floating. And someone showed me a video of myself. My feet were barely off the ground, y'all. It was barely off the ground. But the more I did it, the stronger I got, the faster I became. Now, I wasn't running no races, okay? Like I was not beating anyone, but I became stronger, I became
Right.
faster, I became more comfortable, and I would lose myself in 6, 7, 8 miles before I knew it, right?
Yeah.
Because I was consistent. And I think that's the key. So if you want to become stronger at something, you have to make sure that you are doing it on some type of regular basis, a consistency, and make it a habit for yourself so that you do get better. Because how else are you going to get better?
Yeah. I
How
would
are you going
agree.
to get stronger?
Yeah.
Right? Without continuing to do it over and over again.
I agree. All right, CT, I'm gonna come to you. How, you know, you got the question. How can I become stronger at things?
Yeah, like it was like the question is so broad, right?
Mhm.
When you think about stronger at things, right? But as I think about this question, what it reminded me of was like literally getting stronger, like
Yeah.
going to the gym,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And working out. And Johnny, you're right with regard to the consistency of the thing. But I started thinking about how do you break down the ability to get stronger? It isn't that you just go in and you just do whatever,
Right.
right? You don't just
Right.
go in, put 225 pounds on the belt on the bar and you
It
like,
don't
I
work.
got it. Like that's not how you get stronger. That's how you get hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And so to the extent that if you think about some of the process of how you get stronger, you start with this idea that first I'm going to make a decision to do a thing. Right. I'm decided whatever that thing is. Remember, how do I become stronger at things? Well, you got to pick the thing, right? You can't just be all over the place and say, I'm gonna be stronger at everything. No, pick a thing that you're gonna be stronger at, and then give yourself permission to warm up,
Yeah.
right? Which means you take it little steps at a time, and make sure the thing that you picked is going to stretch you, right? So when you warming up, you're getting your body moving, you're warming your body up, and you're stretching your body. And the older you get, the more stretching you need to do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, quick
Mhm.
pause right there, and I'm back at it, right? So you got to make sure you're warming up. You give yourself permission to stretch, and then make sure if you are because you're stretching and you're putting some weight on, make sure you do something that like you can actually lift and put yourself in a position where you got a spotter. Have somebody with you right
Yeah.
along the journey. Sometimes that consistency becomes hard because you don't have somebody with you along the journey. So
Oh,
have
yeah.
a spotter with you, right? And then do the reps At the end of the day, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to do it. Like, do the reps, do the work. And if you do the work in a consistent way, thank you, Johnny, then you find that you start to become stronger at that thing.
Mhm.
And then you can do more of that thing, which then gives you the ability to know what's possible in
Yeah.
that thing. I'm stuck on the thing, E, right?
Ain't that wrong with that thing
So the
though.
question is like we try to do too daggone much, right? And then we
Yeah.
find that we're weak and that we're exhausted and we got no endurance because we got too many things running around. So
I love that though. I love how you built on needing the consistency, but also being able to focus on the one thing that you're trying to do. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to be, there's no point in trying to be consistent at 20 things. Like that would be almost impossible. Versus being consistent at the one thing that you need to and master the discipline. And a shout out to Antonia for the discipline. That's
Yeah.
right. You got to have discipline to be consistent. And then to your point, you can't just go in there and do the fluff stuff. You got to actually lift the weight, right? You got to
That's right.
go in there and push the weight and really get the results and be okay with the fact you're going to be discomforted in certain situations and you're going to have to grow from it. So
Yes.
I definitely agree. I agree with both of you. So, watchers, please pay attention. We're giving out the jewels to how you become stronger at any particular discipline, in both. It applies to everything. Like if you cut it across the board, like you said, you could apply it to physical sense, but it is any discipline. If you want to get better at writing, if you want to get stronger at reading, if you want to get stronger at, biking, whatever it is, you're going to have to be consistent, focus on that discipline and really dig in and get it. So I love that. We're going to jump into the next question. And this one kind of is similar, but it's more specific to dependability. How can I become more dependable? Now, I know when I got this question, it was because the person that I was talking to was more not lacked the confidence, right? And I know confidence is key with being dependable, but it's not the only factor, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna toss this one to you, CT, and I'm gonna let you wrap it up, Johnny. How do you think you can become more dependable?
Well, I hate to grab the word from the last answer that Johnny gave, but like consistency is the word of these questions. Like when you think about being dependable, it just means you're reliable, right? Somebody knows they can count on you, right? Somebody knows, or okay, so let's use the analogy, right? I came in the house today. There's a chair by my desk. I went and sat on that chair. That chair, I believed it was going to be I was depending that chair was going to hold me up, right? Because it has before. And sometimes when you think about how can you become more dependable or why people can't depend on you, you might want to do a little self-evaluation. Are you being consistent? Can people rely on you when they call you? Can you answer when they ask you to do something? Do you do that thing? Vice versa, right? So you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with consistent people who are reliable so that when you do need, like sometimes our pod gets funny, right? So what's really silly, right? What came to mind was the product called Depends, right? Like it doesn't depend on what's going on. You can depend on it being there when you need it so that you don't have a mess all over yourself. I mean, it's that kind of thing, the ability to know that you can be reliable when it counts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Feeling that.
Johnny Malige, what you got to add to that?
I agree with that 100%. When I think about I got to be honest, the first person that I think about is my husband. So shout out to the hubby upstairs right now watching baseball and football and any other sport that could possibly be on. He is literally the most dependable person I know. Because no matter what he's experiencing, no matter how tired he is, no matter whatever, if he told someone he's going to be there, if he told someone he's going to do it, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think a huge part of being dependable is sort of like thinking about the other person, not even sort of, but it's thinking about the other person. What do they need? And I don't know, maybe it's not always another person on the other side of it, but thinking about what do they need? Are they counting on you? And it's the only thing that you have. Your word is all that you have. And if people can't depend on you, you've lost everything. So it's pushing those sometimes feelings that you have aside and making sure that you're showing up for the people that need you. So, and sometimes that means showing up for yourself,
Yeah.
regardless if you're tired, if you're sick, whatever. Maybe I don't feel like working out today. Well, guess what? You need to do it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You got to do it in order to take care of yourself. So it's removing away some of those emotions that get in our way and
Yeah.
just showing up anyway, because that's what you got to do.
I love it. And we got the comment from Aaliyah, let your yes mean yes. That's a wonderful way to kind of capture that. Let your yes mean yes. Yeah. Do not play around with it. You only get one yes, and once you let somebody fail or you fail someone, like it's really hard to rebuild that, right? And if you are coming from a place where you have not shown the ability to be reliable or dependable, like it is on you to work on building that trust and showing that action again. It is about the commitment in your conduct. So I definitely love that. So we're gonna jump into.
Hey, she said, let your yes be yes, and your no.
Go ahead and hit it. Go ahead and hit it. We ain't got no nose lately.
No. For the last time, no.
One more.
No.
There you go. Get your yes. Be
I
yes
like that too, though, because your
Yeah.
no's do have to remain a no, right? Like if it's no, let it be no.
Listen.
Yes. All right. So, Rome, I know you're probably paying attention to this. Go ahead and mark up the t-shirts. Let your yes mean yes and your no's mean no. All right, we're gonna have that for the Easy Monday t-shirt collection. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to get those. All right, so I want to jump into just the straightforward question, because like I see we're building a wonderful following and everybody is really having fun, you know what I'm saying, like with this, and I know we are too. But guys, like we have to get our own motivation. And the question comes to us of how do you source motivation, right? So who wants to take it? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna let you guys lotto pick this one. Who wants to talk about how they source their motivation?
I can go first.
All right.
Source my motivation, because it sounds so silly and kind of like, I don't know, corny a little bit, but I get motivation from everywhere. And not to be deep or anything, but I feel like God gives you motivation everywhere. You just have to be open to it.
Yes.
So, and I think there's an element where you have to be in touch with yourself, be very like self-aware, so that you can be aware to all the things around you. So I will say this, I am a huge like outdoors. I love being outdoors. So I love walking, sitting, and just being with nature. I feel like that I become really one with God when I do that. I really do. I know I'm such a hippie, but I really do. It's like I just love being in nature outside with like no shoes on. What you do, and then but I can get it from anywhere. It could be music, podcasts I listen to, conversations I have at work, random people I encounter just out of nowhere that maybe isn't so random. Motivation is everywhere. It just depends on what you're looking for motivation for. And I truly believe in my heart that if you offer it up, God is going to send it through the universe in some way or another. You just have to make sure that your spirit is open for it and ready for it. Like, be open to listen to it, because motivation is everywhere. So when I need motivation to be super creative, once again, I go outside. How can I be in Ohio in the fall and not be motivated to be creative when I see the leaves changing, how beautiful the trees are, the sun shining through it, all of the things, So it's just, you have to just be open to it. But there's motivation every single place you look.
Well, thank you, Johnny, my liege, aka Flower Child. That was wonderful. I definitely agree with that. I definitely can agree with that. I do find motivation in a lot of things. I'm gonna come to CT because I know I'm more of a grumpier Gus. So when I talk about where I source my motivations, it's gonna be like the dark alleys of the world. Okay. Just like, because they have to exist, right? Like, you got to be honest. Like, there's some real gritty motivation you get too. Like, I get motivation from things that are just not always accepted. Like, stupid stuff. Okay, I'm just being honest. Like I like childish things.
Like
what?
Like dumb videos of people getting like slapped in the face and
motivation to do what? Just to laugh, or like for what?
Life is worth living when you laugh, and that is some great motivation. Yes.
is.
Like I
It is.
will watch some just foolishness. I will stream through TikTok and just laugh my butt off and then go do something totally like important. But I needed the
Yeah.
food. See, for me, motivation comes from not being serious. 'Cause
Mm,
the less serious I can be, the
mm.
more I'm motivated when I need to be serious because
Okay.
then I can have all the fun, get all the, jitters out, all that stuff. And then when it's time to
See
go
that.
up and perform, oh man, I'm cool as a cucumber. So,
See that.
yeah, like
Yeah.
my motivations are from chaos, but we all know that. All right, CT, it's you.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's important. Like that's one of the things that we talked about last week about this pod is that we all have different perspectives, right, and different ways of getting to the particular outcomes around motivation in particular. And I think Johnny was taking me to church because what hit my head was the song that starts, "You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life, and I lift my hands in worship." Right. So I'm a spiritual man too, and I think about like at the beginning of it all, my source is him. But
Mhm.
then there is this way to think about it that says faith without works is dead. So it can't be that you just have faith in him. You got to do something. So sometimes you put yourself in a position where you can source motivation from him, but when you put your actions and your work to do, that is when you are strengthened. Back to the question we had earlier, right? So sometimes I think, you gotta pick a thing. Like I'm stuck on that. I don't know why I'm stuck on that tonight. Like you gotta pick this thing that says, if I want to be motivated to move forward, I gotta set a goal,
Yeah.
right? And I've got to
Mm.
set a way that my mind knows where it is that I'm going. If I'm driving to a destination I've never been to before, I put it in the GPS and I follow the instructions that the GPS is giving me, right? And I don't necessarily need motivation to do that, but along the way, I might need motivation along the way. Why, Johnny? Because sometimes when I'm driving, there's accidents. Sometimes there's slow people in front of me. Sometimes there's obstacles in the way. And when that happens, I'm motivated to get around it. I'm motivated to get out of it. I'm motivated to get to the destination that I want to be on. And that is where we've got to make sure that we're just paying real close attention to how we are fueling ourselves. What are the things that we are putting inside of ourselves? How are we surrounding ourselves? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? So that when I think about getting to a destination, a goal, an end game, I know I've got my main source, but then the work that I put my hands to do is what's going to motivate me to get there. And when the obstacle comes, I know I'm still going to get there, but I've got tools and resources to be able
Yeah.
to help me accomplish the thing that's going to get me to where I want to go. So
Okay. No, I like that. I
thought.
definitely like that. I mean,
Mhm.
because like the targeted destination for motivation is very key too, right? Like where we're like, if you're gonna source it, like make sure you're sourcing it for things that are gonna be feeding where you're trying to go.
That's
Like,
right.
yeah, it doesn't like is as much as you can go out and listen to every podcast. If it's not like if you're trying to get somewhere in investing, you should be listening to investment podcasts that would give you the
Yes.
information you're looking for. So I definitely agree that you want to have a targeted focus in your motivational sources. If you're looking to do exercise, then exercise would be good. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that you can find general motivational sources like
Right.
music and different things, to your point. Like, but ultimately be focused and intentional in your sources of motivation so that they build on the things you're trying to accomplish. I can agree with that, CT. Now, I definitely think that it's counterproductive for me to like slap videos. But I still do. So we're gonna go ahead and ask, how would grandma judge me? I mean, what would grandma do?
Hey, Grandpa, please get him together. I hope the message is to get him together today. Is there an acronym for that?
That's a whole nother show. Like
Okay.
that's a whole nother show. That's the Get E Together show. Like, okay, so like to be clear, on the podcast about Nothing Network, no, the way that we want to think about like this segment of our conversation, which I always get inspired by, and those of you who don't know, if you're listening for the first time, this comes out of my 97-year-old grandmother who used to share with us in birthday cards, in messages, an acronym, like words that would be connected to our name. And so in each one of the segments that we do in this Easy Monday Motivation, when we think about motivation and we think about sourcing motivation, I'd like to think about sourcing and give you a couple ways to think about this thing. So when you think about how you start the source, I called this the triple Mississippi. MISSI, yeah, it's like the first word everybody learned how to spell. But I put it a trifecta on the words today. So just go with me with this thought. It's this idea that the triple S on the S is you got to start a serious search. If you are wanting to do something new, if you want to be motivated to go somewhere, as the song said, if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you got to wake up and pay attention. Well, you got to start a serious search if you've never been somewhere before. And when you get there, you've got to have this O, which is you've got to look for the thing that's out of the ordinary. If you're always being motivated by the exact same thing, you're not necessarily fueling yourself in a brand new way. And if you're trying new things, let me go with the U, you've got to make sure that you pick something that is uncomfortable, but you got to give yourself permission to gain new understanding on how to use that new uncomfortable thing. Because if you're starting this new search to find the out of the ordinary thing, sometimes you might be uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable, give yourself permission to understand how to use that new thing that is in your life. And when you do it, here's the gift of the R, that you got to be ready to receive the revelation from the new thing that you're doing. Oh my goodness. And I get this new revealed thing that comes into my life because I've got new understanding, because I've got new tools in my life. Even when I was uncomfortable, because I stepped into out of the ordinary, man, it only happened because I was serious. And when you get that new revelation, you know what you get to be? Creative with that new thing that you have in your hand. But it doesn't work unless you do what Johnny said earlier. You consistently choose that new thing in your life. But the consistency comes from what is now the I. That is to invest in intentional integrating into everything that you do in your life. If you are not intentionally making sure that you're putting it in your calendar, that you're ensuring that you make sure you make space for it, that you're integrating it into the investment of your life, because the creative thing that you got, you got to go with that in. You know what you got to do there? You got to negotiate. You've got to be able to negotiate the new into your life because you created space, because you were intentional about integrating into it. And the gift that you get, that's the G. And the gift that you get at the end is the grace to know that you've got something new that's motivating you because you searched what you needed to, that thing that was out of the ordinary, where you were uncomfortable. You look to understand how you could integrate it in a way that allows you to now be grateful for all of the things that you now have, because you source some new motivation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So cricket letter I, cricket letter P. All right. And go with Grandma Steve. Oh, I see you. All right out here. What would Grandma do? All right, coming through with what would Grandma do? I love that. That was beautiful. And I see why the question bothered you so much now when we think about what Grandma would do, because no, we didn't start off with some, let's vaguely go out there and go just wallow in some pond. No, what fish are we looking for, and where do we find those specific fish in that area so we can be motivated to buy the right tackle, the right bait, the right everything to get okay. So I'm gonna play. So I got to play this back a little bit because you did some things there. So we said we're gonna start a serious search. So
that's the S.
Start a serious search. Then we're gonna do stuff that's out of looking for the things out of the ordinary. That's my O. Okay, so we're gonna get uncomfortable, but understanding how to use it, right?
That's the U.
Okay, and then we're gonna be ready to receive new revelation.
That's the R.
We're gonna okay, and then all right. So I think I'm almost all right. Then that's when we are allowed to be creative consistently and choose new things, right? Because now we're past that, right?
That's the C.
Okay, all right, okay, and then now that we're consistent, we can invest intentionally in integrating new types of things and motivations in our life. So we getting further.
That was the I.
Okay, all right, because we needed to negotiate the new and get rid of that old, right? And then that was the thing that gives us the grace that we're grateful for, right? Oh man, you know what? I feel like I feel like a source is a source of source, of course. There we go. That's how we're gonna do that. We're gonna you can't. I'm sorry. I know, scribbling it down be really hard. We'll get it out to you guys. We'll put it in more consumable fashion so we can get it out as a post for you to be able to play with. But that was beautiful. Johnny, what do you got back for what grandma would do?
Oh my goodness, that was so good. And the main thing I'm getting from this and from the whole conversation that we've had tonight is it comes back to you got to do the work. Like
Yes.
you have to do the work. Say, I love the slap effect. Okay. Yeah, of course. That's my mama.
Thanks,
y'all.
mama. Thank you, mama. Somebody. I mean, come on, y'all make me
Of
seem
course
like I'm
my
the
mama
bad guy.
does.
Somebody gotta like what I like too. Come on.
It stopped me in my tracks. Did you see that? Of course, my
Yeah.
mama talking about she likes the
Yeah.
slap.
Thank you, mama.
But anyway, no, it comes back to everything that we talked about today. I feel like it comes back to doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out the thing and then actually taking action on it.
Mhm.
Just do it because I truly believe that once you start to take action on it, things will begin to happen for you. You get stronger. It becomes more of a habit. You become more disciplined. And all of those things that the motivation that you're looking for, now you don't necessarily have to look for it externally because you're doing the work yourself and you're motivating yourself. I've been in that position myself, right? Where I've been kind of feeling down or whatever it is. And I have to look for outside motivation. And when I'm staying consistent and doing the work myself, whatever that looks like, whatever the thing is for me, then I find that motivation within myself. So y'all, we got to do the work, right? We got to do the work and take the action for ourselves.
That's good, Johnny.
I love it. All right, CT. We're gonna come to our favorite, yet it's not our favorite time of the day, because now it is time for us to kind of say goodbye to all of our lovely fans and friends. And we have final thoughts from our motivations from Johnny, E, and CT.
Yeah.
Okay, now you know I did that in rhyme. All right, so CT, I'm coming to you for your final thoughts.
No, listen, I love how we consistently are thinking about how do you change the way that you think about how you're interfacing with the world, right? I think we leveraged the term perspectives last week, and I think, we'll probably end up doing a pod that's fully dedicated to perspectives. But I think the end of the day, when we consider that we every day need to be motivated for something, this pod hopefully has encouraged you to think about multiple sources around how you get there and the necessity for you to be consistent in choosing those different and varied sources to help you get to wherever it is that you're ultimately wanting to go. And if you keep in your mind that every day is Friday,
Every day Friday.
that is all the motivation that you need. Source Friday in your mind, and you got it.
Yeah. I love that.
All right, every day is Friday. Every day is Friday. Yeah. Oh no, I'm just right.
Did you just write that?
Yeah,
Is that
I
new?
You did.
Literally, yeah.
Ours.
Friday. We doing that. We're gonna have a whole commercial. Every day is Friday. And this is gonna come across easy Monday motivation. This is gonna be the most confusing ad you've ever seen.
I love it. I love it.
So, Johnny, you got any final thoughts for us?
Yeah. Other than doing the work, absolutely. You just finding that source of motivation, and it looks different.
Yeah.
It could look different every single day. Like I said, I get a little bit of motivation from everywhere because it all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, what I'm looking for. Sometimes is Kirk Franklin, other times is not so much Kirk Franklin. You know what I mean? It just all depends on what kind of mood you're in. But find that source, tap into it. But you also become self-aware.
Yeah.
Like, what mood are you in? What are you driving towards? What type of motivation do you really need for that particular day? But find that source and tap into it, because we all have work to do. We all have work to do and to help other people. So find whatever it is every single day.
I agree.
I'm just a curious question because I'm a curious person. Johnny said Kirk Franklin on one side, and then I'd be curious, since he's giving gifts of particular ways to be motivated. What would be the other song that motivate you?
That's what that came out of Johnny's brain. that was her inner thought. Her inner dialogue was like,
Ask and answer. My bad.
I want to hear that again. I like that.
He was like, what? We in trouble today.
Sometimes you need it.
There
Sometimes
it is.
you need it. That's all I'm
Sometimes.
saying.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, oh man, another wonderful, wonderful Monday that is Friday. With
Great.
the fine folks of the Easy Monday Motivational Podcast and the wonderful fans and guests that come on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open it up for anybody to shoot a question to us while we do a wrap up. And then, we can probably answer any questions that anybody may have. But thank you so much for tuning in. We always enjoy spending our Mondays with you. So go ahead, just to let you know, you can catch us here every Monday at 8 o'clock. CT Johnny Milesian E on the Easy Monday Motivations. On Tuesdays, you have the Comfy Couch with my homegirl Siobhan. She gets that spiritual healing on the couch. So, and then on Wednesday, you got the Food Talks, the Foodcast with me and Chef Rome. This week, we're doing Halloween treats and eats. You may be able to find something to serve at your holiday parties. We're going to hook you up. On Thursday, we have Just Clowning with my homeboy C Mello, doing it just like we did back in the day. And then on Friday, we got Way Past School Nerdcast with my man Lex G and the homeboy Cam. They hold us down, taking us back in the day, making us relive all of the fun days of our childhood. And then we have the OG, the original where the network started, the podcast about nothing on Sunday at 9 p.m. So with that, you have your T-Pan network. We love to be here and do what we do and shoot it out here for you. Any questions? Anything anybody want? Because this is your time. Otherwise not. You know what I'm saying? We gonna go ahead and wrap up, and we gonna go ahead and do our little sign out. And I love my sign out. So
I love it.
because Rome is Russell Simmons, we be having him do the Russell Simmons. Thank you. God bless you. Good night.
Coming out. God bless you.
Good night. Every single time. But no, thank you guys so much. And you know what to do. You can just chill until the next episode. So have a good night, guys. All right.
Peace.
Peace. Have a